In this video, we're going to talk about the new Google Tag Manager debug and preview mode. All and more coming up. Hey there and welcome back to another video of MeasureSchool.com, where we teach you the data-driven way of digital marketing. Today we want to talk about the new feature within Google Tag Manager. It's the preview mode that has changed, and it's kind of a significant change because the old preview mode just went away and it's now replaced with the new preview mode. And probably all the videos that, if you have seen any videos on this channel, they're actually a little bit outdated now, although I think you can still manage it. The whole techniques still stay the same, just the preview mode, the little window that we use to debug our tag implementation, is now a bit changed. So let's take a look at this new preview mode here. I'm going to switch over to my screen, and here we are already inside of Google Tag Manager. Now, Google Tag Manager itself is not really changed. On the interface itself, you don't really see any changes. And on the page itself, we already have Google Tag Manager installed, but you don't see it. And usually I would say, hey, there's a window down here, and that's why you know that Google Tag Manager is installed. But what we will do now is go into the new preview mode. So when we click this button, what happens now is it's opening a new window. And the first change that we see here, that it says up here Tag Assistant. And this is like kind of a new role of the Tag Assistant that you might know from an extension, which is now the central hub to debug your different kind of tags. And it's still in beta, but it's not something you can go back to the old version. So I would say it's pretty much launched from Google's side at this point. What you do here in this first window is to start the Tag Assistant by entering a URL. So where do you want to attach or to connect your Tag Assistant to? You need to put in a domain here. This is the demo shop and here. And you can include the debug signal in the URL. I would leave that always checked unless there is something that doesn't work for you. We click on Start, and now you see this little bar, and it opens actually a new tab, and this is our URL that we typed in. Now we see this little window down here saying debugger connected. And when we go back to the other tab, we see some indications up here that this is the window that is now connected to our demo shop in a sense. And from here, we see kind of normally what would be going on in this little window that was previously popping up down below. And this has certain advantages because now we'll be able to utilize the debug window separately, which is really cool when we, for example, want to debug a mobile page. So I'm going to open up here the developer tools and opening this up. Let's make this a little bit smaller here and say it's a Galaxy S5. Now you could imagine, and we a little bit have this problem here as well, the debugger in some instances would take so much space up and we couldn't really see any information on here. But now we are able to see all that information very nicely in this different tab. Now, when we click around, and this is another big feature, when we click around and say, let's go to this product here, go back to the Tag Assistant, we see now that we have the different page views in these drop-down menus or in these tabs. So we are able to debug one and the next page view as well. So this is actually almost like a recording that we saw inside of the Tag Assistant extension for a while with Google Analytics. So we always know what is going on in our different kind of page views. Now, these are all numbered, as you can see. And as before, you can look into what tags fired. In this case, nothing fired here. But here we have GA page view. You can look at the variables, the data layer, and any errors that occurred. The new thing that you see right here is this window that is always on the top, and it's called API call. Now, API call is kind of a new name change here. This waterfall menu, I would have always called our event menu. So here where we choose the events, and this is kind of like a timeline when the page loads, what loads first and then second and then third. And now this has been renamed to API calls. It still uses the event key as the name here, although container loaded is not GTM.js, but yeah, there have definitely been made changes, but here we can see, for example, the GTM 4WP product impressions. That's actually the event key name. But I imagine that over the next coming of months, when we are doing any kind of videos, we will refer to it as an API call. So the API call that we are talking about here is the GTM 4WP product impressions EEC. So that's definitely one significant change in this whole kind of debug window itself. Now you see a lot events here, and we even see 3 times container loaded. Why is that? Well, beforehand, I've actually installed in my WordPress store here not only the extension or the plugin from Thomas Geiger, the GTM4WP. I also installed it manually, and I chose a different Google Tag Manager account with a completely different set of tags, because what you can do now in the tag assistant itself, you have a drop-down menu up here where you can debug certain kind of implementations of different Google Tag Managers, but also the G tag. So if you have the G tag installed, it will also show up here. So for example, I have installed here the GTag.js implementation of Google Analytics, but then also Google Tag Manager itself. And that is now visible with this drop-down menu. And we can say, hey, I don't want to look at the tags from my current container here, but I actually want to look at the tags that actually fire throughout Google Tag Manager with this second container as well. So this will make our lives easier when it comes to big implementations where people have maybe 3 or 4 Google Tag Manager accounts, which is not really, from my side, not really recommended. But there are sites out there that have multiple Google Tag Managers out there. And it makes it possible to debug here. So this is really cool to see. And yeah, where will this be actually helpful, that we have 2 page views here or 3 page views? This is something a lot of people ask me when they do, for example, button click tracking or any kind of tracking where you previously had to press the command key, or I would always press the command key and then tell people to click, and then we would see that in the data layer itself. Now, what we can do, and this is actually not connected anymore because there's no new page view because we open it up in a new tab. But what we can do now, definitely, if you click on it just normally, we would see the page view pop up here, which, for example, would be quite kind of nice when we, for example, want to debug something like a click trigger. Let's go and build just a generic click trigger here. All elements, some clicks, no, all clicks. Oh yeah, I need to tell you one thing is, if you want to reload the preview mode, then obviously that is not available in this yellow box here anymore, or orange box here anymore, where you had to press refresh. You just have to click on preview. I think there will be changes made to this as well, so it actually says something like reload or so. And then we need to connect again. Here we go. And we should be able now, when we have a product, for example, here, and we want to know how can I tag this link, for example, what would I need to put into my trigger? I just click it, and now I can go back to Tag Assistant and see if I have my GTM click here. Here's the click. We have a click, and we can look at the variables, how they have been filled. Oh, I forgot to turn on the variables here, which is always important. And always something I forget when I have a new Google Tag Manager account in front of me. So again, the the process would slightly change if you create a new tag for auto event tracking, because you might run into the problem that you don't know how to fill out these triggers correctly. But now you don't have to do any kind of trickery with the command key or stop the browser somehow. You simply click on the item like I clicked just now, and we should be able to see the click here. And then in the variables, we see how the click classes got filled, the click elements, click ID, click target. Obviously, there's not much here for this at least, but let's click on our new one here. Sometimes lost connection to the page being debugged. Sometimes I run still into these little errors where, nope, it doesn't let me do it. Let me go back and click on Demo Shop again in order to reconnect. Okay, so here we go. I click on a link. And now I should be able to debug this link click or this click itself that we have implemented. Ah, we are in the wrong Google Tag Manager account. Here's our account. And we see our click classes and what was clicked on, but it doesn't, it says here the click text. So now we can use the click text and, for example, refine our trigger to use that inside, to make it clear that we only want to tag link clicks on this button or link as it is. And one thing that I just noticed just now is that you can now copy out of the preview and debug mode. That was also something that is sometimes not possible. You were always trying to use this and then you copy it, but it doesn't copy over to Google Tag Manager because it didn't let us copy inside of the preview mode. Okay, so this is already new and super helpful because we'll be able to not use these workarounds with stopping the browser somehow in order to debug a auto event trigger. Okay, what else do we have? Well, then we come to the changes that you can actually make. Well, let's stay here. That you can actually make with the help of the tag assistant. So the tag assistant is not really needed. The tag assistant as extension, let's put it, is not really needed. But you all know that there is an extension called Tag Assistant by Google. I will just Google it. Tag Assistant. So if you're not familiar with this extension, it was always very helpful in order to debug any kind of Google tags. And if you install this, and I have this installed already, let me see, I have a lot of extensions here. So now it's enabled. And we're gonna reload this. So gonna reload this. Start a new website here. Connecting to debugger. Let me try this again. As you might see, it's kind of still not super, but you see a little icon down here. What does this mean? It's actually, if you just debug in one tab, it doesn't really matter. But with the Tag Assistant extension, you can now open up multiple tags, just what I've done before. And let's open this one in a new tab. And now we have a red square here. And if I go on red square, obviously now Google Debugger, what will the debugger actually, or the Tag Assistant show us? Well, these little signs here would tell us which tab are we actually working with. We are working here with the red one, and then before we did something on the blue one, right? So if I go around here, you would see this one was from the blue one, the blue carrot. Oh, I don't know how you call this. And this was from the other tab. And obviously you could open more tabs and see, should give you a new sign, yellow circle. So quite nifty that you can now also distinguish those inside of your tag system. Again, this is a big change because everything is now pushed into one of these, one tab here with our tag assistant as a whole. Cool. All right, I see that there was some interactions in the chat already. I'm gonna get to your questions and answers in a second. The last thing that we might wanna cover is how do you actually stop this, right? So if I'm on the page, you always have this little debugger connection down here. You need to sever the connection somehow. And you can do this by either on the page itself, clicking on the X here, and that will sever the connection. And you can see the page reloads. And now the debugger is again connected. Okay, apparently you cannot deconnect your debugger. On the tag though, you can click on the X up here, and this will then ask us, do you want to stop debugging this? Or do you want to keep it enabled so you'd be able to connect anytime later? I'm gonna, well, you can click this if you want to keep it enabled, but I'm gonna stop debugging right here. And now these all should reload and go back to normal. Connecting debugger, no debugger found. So this is now back to normal. Although I'm thinking, can I get rid of this thing down here? It's maybe because we have the tag assistant installed as an extension. So again, lots of things to get used to, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you have come across any kind of differences already, and if you find that this is a good feature, bad feature, or it will change over the next coming of weeks. Probably a few of the bugs will go out, and then also some of the usability issues will be solved. There are some stuff that I haven't touched yet, a little bit more advanced. What if you want to share the preview mode? What if you wanted to do cross-domain tracking? All of this is somehow handled inside of the tag assistant. And I would just urge you to try it out and see if you can find out for yourself if this is all possible. I suspect that there are still changes being made to this little add-on, this feature. It is kind of a small feature, but also a kind of a big feature because it's the old way of debugging is not available. The preview mode is not available anymore. So this is something we all have to get used to in the future, and everybody who works with Google Tag Manager. All right, that's already it with this week's video of the little GTM preview mode. If you are interested in finding out more about Google Tag Manager, Google Analytics, and any kind of other tracking related things, then definitely subscribe to our channel right over there, because we bring you new videos just like this one every week. Now, my name is Julian. Till next time. All right, guys. I hope this was okay. I stumbled a little bit because this is quite new. And I'm going to go through your comments now and see if we can pick up on anything that was worth looking through. So if you have any questions, put them into the chat, and gonna look here. Detail says, hopefully this makes so I can see from submit events even after loading another page, especially pages you can't open in a new tab. Exactly. That was the biggest change for me, that you can now leave out all these different techniques in order to open a tab or stop it at the right time, at the right moment, especially. And think about this, if you, and this happened to me so often, if you debug any kind of thank you page, and the thank you page, obviously, you need to make sure that the thank you page doesn't reload if the user just clicks the reload button. So oftentimes there are techniques in there that won't let you reload the thank you page. And I had it oftentimes that I opened up the preview mode and then I went through the debugging process, got to the thank you page, and at some point I closed the thank you page, and then I didn't have all that information anymore and I would need to go through it again. Now with the new debugger, you obviously can see all your page views and then see where you'd be able to, where this data went and if it's still there. So all the data is pretty much logged, which is really nice. Malte says, no, it's not the extension, but I think it's the origins from the extension. The extension is still there. So there's both. There's both now. Confusing. Yes, there is both now. This whole tag assistant thing is now an ecosystem. So who knows how they will integrate it. I think it's cool that we don't need the extension in order to debug anything. So if you're just using Google Tag Manager and don't want to use the Tag Assistant, obviously Tag Assistant makes it easier, but then it locks you into the whole ecosystem of Chrome as well at the moment, right? Chrome or what's the new one? Edge, as Edge is also based on Chrome. Anyways, makes it a bit confusing at the moment, right? And that's why I hate doing these videos without having all the information available. But at some point, I mean, this feature is suddenly in Google Tag Manager. It wasn't really, in that sense, ported over and said, hey, do you want to use the old version or the new version, right? Now, I just remembered one thing that I should have mentioned, but this is something that, yeah, I forgot kind of. It's kind of a big deal because what we have here right now is also that the debugger uses not only a third-party cookie anymore. So previously, in order to show this on your website itself, you, Google Tag Manager, put a cookie onto your browser and then was able to authenticate the pages. This was a third-party cookie. Now, a lot of these browsers, the privacy browsers, are blocking third-party cookies. And so, for example, Safari, you were not able to get your preview mode working for a while. And there were some workarounds, and you needed to go into the settings and say, I want to allow this again. But this is now also taken care of because I think there's a combination between cookies and local storage used in order to make this actually work. So this is something that doesn't well, is more stable in that sense rather than using cookies. Cool. Yeah, Akarati says, if you install Tag Assistant extension, you can see the icon prefix. That is what I showed at the end. Does the color of the debugger connected box mean anything? No. I think the debugger box, you mean this one down here. Let me just switch over. I guess you can see whatever message is displayed here. But I think if we have like this icon change up here, which is nice to see which sites are under the influence of debugger or being debugged right now. Debugger, Tag Assistant. Yeah, the naming is definitely something I still need to get used to. But it's not something I really looked into if the page means anything. Now here you can also see, this is not something I have really showed. You can add any kind of, I think you can just go to Tag Assistant of the Google Tag Manager page itself, or what tags, triggers, variables are being deployed, or what the data layer looks like. So that is something you need to authenticate. You need to be inside of Tag Manager, click on Preview in order to see that kind of stuff. But you could do any kind of GTag implementation or stuff that is sent over via Google Analytics. If it's not deployed through Google Tag Manager, then you would be able to see hard-coded installation. This was possible with the Tag Assistant as an extension beforehand already. So this is also one or the other feature that is quite new. Let me go back to where do we have the chat here. You guys want to read your chat probably. So there's some scammer comments going on. Let me hide this user. Color and icon and debugger. It come from tag assistant. That's true. Report then block the troll folks. Yeah, just report them. I guess I'm the only one in front of the screen here to actually make this live stream happen. So it's not something that a whole team is involved in. This works in one more monitor. Good question, Valdemar. Yes, this actually could be transferred to any other screen, which is great if you are, for example, mobile debugging, right? So some people are mobile debugging, which is also possible as well. The refresh change is painful for me. Yes, it's painful. Probably change is always painful, but we all have to get used to it. This is how we make progress. Yeah, the error is worked on by Google. Shashank says that's great. I didn't really see anything that I can replicate. So let me know if you know how we can get around it or how we can avoid it. Yes, might be better to use this debug screen in two screens. Absolutely right. If you have a big screen, you can keep both windows aside. If you have a big screen, right? Typing just right, yeah. Copying and pasting is something that probably is now possible throughout the debug window here. Cool. Let me see. I don't want to miss anything here, right? Remember, if you have a big screen, you can keep both windows side by side. Oh, that's very cool. Trying to type before painful. What about cross-domain tracking from same domain? Does anyone know if that works? So yes, it actually works. You can go over from one domain to another domain if you have Google Tag Manager installed on both domains. Now, what will happen initially is that the domain will not be recognized, and you won't have a log of what is happening on that second domain, but you need to connect it. So at this screen here, no, at this screen here. So at this screen here, you can connect your different websites that you want to connect to your debugger. And then you would be able to go seamlessly from one domain to the next. So that is also something that's possible. Give us back our previous debugger. It certainly is taking some getting used to, says Drew. My fingers are crossed that Google will keep improving quickly. Yes. At least, I guess they are committed, right? So it's not something they're going to try out and then throw away. I think it's kind of an improvement, kind of like still half-baked. I don't know what is going on over there at Google, because these changes came very rapidly, right? Google Analytics 4 and then this debug mode, and none of them is really like something, hey, you can go back to whatever you were doing and we'll switch it over later on. Although the GA4 is still something you can use your normal universal analytics. But here for this Google Tag Manager preview debug change, no. Okay, how do you now refresh from GTM if you make changes, existing tags, triggers, and variables? Yes, you need to click on that preview button again inside of Google Tag Manager. That is something that is still in beta, I think. Oh, you cannot really see it here. Let me switch over. So you need to click on this preview button again in order to reflect your changes. And then unfortunately, what happens as well is when I click here, right, the tag assistant would reload and would reconnect to my page in order to pull that new container. Unfortunately, that's not very intuitive, I guess, or it takes a bit because you need to click on start again. It needs to reload again, and then you are on the page. So let's try this again. So I click on preview, then it's saving, then it's popping up this window. I click on start again, and then it's connecting, and then it needs to reload this one. So I don't know, it takes me, before it took me 2 seconds, now it takes me 6 seconds or 7 seconds. But anyway, that is still something to get used to, definitely. Can we use it for GA4? Sure, Google Tag Manager, Tag Assistant is something you can use for GA4 as well. Nethroxy says, is there a way to separate a debug tab and website tab so I can see them at the same time? Yeah, you can definitely. I mean, I'm on a Mac here, so but for me it's a bit different, but you can pop this window out. Let me see if I can actually do this. So now, I guess, okay, so when I now go from page to page here, you see something is happening here as well, depending on this thing. So you can put it on a different screen and make that work as well. Oh, I don't know if I can pop it back in. Yes. Oh, you didn't see this. I'm sorry. Let me try this again. So you can pop out the preview mode, put it here to the side. And then when I have a different page view, you see that something is happening here. And we are going from page to page. And you see the changes. So you can put this into different tabs as well. Okay. Then Raj says, awesome new update for GTM. Ulysses says, thank you for your presentation. It was clear. Good. Thank you. Kathy says, handy dandy. Thanks again. No problem. The previous preview mode was more easy to understand. I would agree, I guess. Right now, I agree. I'm sorry, but it's still things to get used to, right? Because you see visually what is happening if you click something, but maybe it's also just complacency on my side because I have been using the preview mode for so long. I wonder if there's a better way now to aggregate all event tracking clicks in a nice report. Well, there's always a better way of doing things inside of Google Tag Manager, but that's has nothing to do with Google the debug mode itself. Join just now, video available, playlist later. Yes, Javier is here as well. What do you think the output, the URL each time you need to do the preview? Yeah, it's kind of another step. I think that this will be hopefully something they will change at some point. The tab icon thing is great. I'm one of the cross-domain ones. Okay, cross-domain we already talked about. Then Matteo is here as well. Hey, Matteo, good to see you. You're all fuzzy again. Oh, no. I'm okay? Yeah, I hope so. Love your transitions. What software do you use? OBS. Does GTM have any issues with certain frameworks like ASP, .NET websites? Not that I know of. I mean, in the end, a website is a website, right? Somehow it needs to be displayed in the browser. And as long as it's not a Flash website, which I don't know how you could make that happen, Google Tag Manager cannot be easily installed because JavaScript needs to be deployed. So, but if the ASP and .NET are probably just the backend technology, and the front end would still be HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and that's what Google Tag Manager runs on. So there shouldn't be a problem. Are there any reporting features? No, Google Tag Manager is also not a reporting tool, so that's not something that is in there. I mean, maybe you are referring to, can I download any kind of reports of all the tags that I've seen? Like in a tag assistant. In the tag assistant, when you start a recording, you can actually do that. I don't know if you're aware, but there is a technology there as well. Hitesh just subscribed. Thank you for that. Not really happy about the changes. Ankan says, I work for Google directly for the web tech team. When we connect with clients, all we hear are complaints. So if you're really from Google, then yeah, I mean, that's something internal feedback. I'd leave it there. Cow says, I have had issues on forums with new GTM tracking twice when another window gets opened. Are you aware of this? PS, prefer all debugger overall. I'm not aware of this. I think that every time you install something new, or every website is different, and there are cases, and the preview and the submit is probably something that is dependent on the technology of your website itself. Now, I have seen that a form submit can happen twice if you have the Facebook pixel installed, because Facebook somehow tries to send data to their own system via form submit, and that's also captured inside of the tag assistant, or it's the tag assistant now, the preview mode, so to say. But I haven't heard of that happening across all websites. So that's maybe an individual thing. Can you make a video on internal traffic filtering? We have a video on that. Maybe check that out. And on top of it, update GA4, it's a mess, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, okay, Ankang, if you are from Google and people are calling you from about the preview mode, but then also about the GA4, I can imagine how the phones are running hot. This is how a beta looks like, to be honest. Yeah, it's kind of still beta, right? The funny thing is right now I don't see the beta thing up here anymore, but I guess it's just when you are on the beginning screen here. So this is still a beta product, and we should treat it as such, but we need to use it in production. Kind of weird. Shari says, what can I do if the option to change the containers does not appear? Then, I don't know, you cannot do anything. I wouldn't know. We don't have access to Tag Assistant itself, and it's not like something. I would guess that your implementation is not common or not usual or not standard in a sense that you are able to connect those and see them up there. That would be my guess, but who knows? I would need to look at the case in order to see why this actually happens. Matteo says, if you have a different GTM in different websites, it's really difficult to debug the cross-domain. Different GTM in different websites. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because you would need to connect, and then you would need to go back to your old account or the other account and then connect again. That is a pain, I guess. Good to know. That's maybe something I can keep an eye on. Wow, we still have a lot of things here. I'm just going bit by bit. Sorry about this. I had to close the tab to disconnect, otherwise it kept reconnecting. Okay, yeah, close the tab. Probably the tab is somehow an ID that Google has available, and then if you close it, it would disconnect. That's a good tip. Rush says, if we had multiple tabs open, can we reload every tab or just one tab? I guess you need to reload every tab. And I guess that Tag Assistant would notice which tabs you have connected. So that's a good use case, actually. So let's connect here our website. So now this website is connected, right? And if I go ahead and open any kind of link, then we have this blue circle and this caret again. Let me open up another one. So these are not connected, right? I'm just gonna close these. So these are not connected and these are connected. So what happens if I have a new tag and I click on preview? So now I have to reconnect. And yeah, these don't reconnect. These don't reload. I guess when I reload here, it's connected again. But yeah, they don't reconnect all of them. So you need to do it manually. Something to be aware of as well. Okay. With Mike says, I would love to see more about how to build GA4 for events. That's something we probably will do in an upcoming video. Enrique says, please do a new video on GA implementation through GTM. I had changed a lot. There isn't a UAID. Now it's a GID because now GA is web-based and app, I think. Yes, Enrique, that's true, but you can also still install the normal UA Google Analytics. And yeah, we will have a new video on this out at some point. Umer says, just joined. Did you cover over the issues lost connection every time I start surfing? No, I also had that one time, right? And I couldn't really figure it out. It's kind of a bug in the system. Karate says, some people when use debugger mode may take pop-up window, not new tab, and cannot try changing URL. Then they can solve this problem with install tag assistant after. It will not take pop-up. Yes, there is a difference between when you create this new debug tab with a tag assistant installed or without the tag assistant installed. I think it's also, for me, it always opens in a new tab thing. Not sure. Or maybe it's, I don't know. I don't know why I'm just having new tab. I guess, let me see if something to experiment here. It's cool to think through some things during, so I'm gonna stop debugging this. And this is because this is called full screen view inside of inside of Mac. And so I'm not in full screen view, and I'm also going to disable my tag assistant. And now I'm gonna go to preview, start. No, it just opens up in a new tab or in an existing tab. Do I need to close all the tabs? Let me see. Yeah, now it opens up in a new window. And that is something that if you encounter this, you can install the debugger. And with the debugger, you'll be able to then put this into, where's the debugger? Okay. Oh no, we want to just click here on preview, start. And now it's open up in a new tab. So this is a difference between having the, another difference between having the tag assistant extension installed and not having it installed. Okay, go back here. Some people when use debugger, I use Data Slayer. Yes, you can also use Data Slayer, still available extension. Does Measure School Academy content have fresh and new data different from YouTube videos? Yes, we have different content in there. Question is if it's fresh. We always update all the time. If you use SPA related technology and JS to dynamically create things, your tagging and tracking of events needs to be more creative and frankly heavier weight. But that is not GTM, it's JS app making things hard. Well said. Alban is here as well. Hi Julian, how to track cross-domain with new GTM container? That depends on what kind of tag you want to install. But I talked about how to use this debug mode inside of cross-domain as well. So maybe you rewind a bit. It's odd that it's still fully rolled out at beta with no option to try beta. True. Seems to premature rollout. I don't know. Do you want to know why they fully rolled it out? I heard it was a first-party cookie issue. Yes, it is definitely. In Safari, suddenly it didn't work anymore because Safari blocks these kind of cookies, third-party cookies, very fast. So it's a more robust solution that they can build upon, but it's definitely like kind of not yet complete, I think. Nice when you have two screens, annoying when you have one. Yes. Did you have any experience using Bing Ads tags? Do they basically work the same with click tracking as Google Ads tracking? Yes, and yes. I would say you have this kind of event structure in there, and any tag is really any kind of event tag or of these vendors. They build them almost all the same in order for not to confuse any kind of developers on that front. Can we use Universal and GA4 at the same time? Yes, you can. And just one quick question. Do you always have to be specific when you have entered the page URL on which the tags need to fire? No, you can not be specific and then navigate to that page, but you can be as specific as you want. So you can even put in a full URL that has certain slashes in there and go to a completely different page. This URL that you enter there will be opened in this new tab that is opening up, but you don't have to be specific in that sense. How can we track events? That's something for another video, or go back into our catalog and see. And for GA4, any updates on how to create goals as we used to do in gtag.js? No updates from my side as well, but there are many guides out there already, and probably in the future we'll bring out a video on this as well. Matteo is answering you here that this is great as well. Rewind and look at it again. Okay, how about enhanced e-commerce data tags? That's not something we can cover in this live stream. This was about the debug mode, but definitely something you can look into in the future. If you use GTM for your triggers, your overhead for running UA and GA4 is lower than overhead. Yeah. If you use GTM for your triggers, your overhead for running UA and GA4 is lower than installing both directly. Interesting. If you say that, so that's great. I can't confirm nor deny because I use mostly Google Tag Manager. I guess I see always GTag as a mini version of Google Tag Manager without the user interface and the fancy functionality of the triggers and so on. But you have one code basis kind of. You just need to define in the GTag where you want to send that data to. And I guess you can send it to Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager. I don't know if this takes more resources. If it does, then then Google Tag Manager is a better choice. Okay, guys, we have been on for almost an hour, for 50 minutes. It was a pleasure talking to you again, and thank you for joining this live stream. I hope you got something out of it. And if you haven't yet, then definitely click that subscribe button down below. We have some other questions here. Would there be any video for GTM variable templates? Our company is we have a video on that as well, and debugger parameter in the URL is going to show in GA. Yes, you can filter it out, and I think that this is also something, I don't know, Google Tag Manager probably will build that into Google Analytics directly to filter it out, because it's not really something that anybody wants in their GA. By the way, I was unable to send you some money. Your YouTube button did not work. Oh, interesting. I'm not opposed to money, but at the same time, thank you very much for trying, and hopefully we can get that working next time. So thank you again for joining this live stream. It was a pleasure, and now it's Friday evening here, so hopefully you will have a good Friday as well, and an evening. And if you are heading into the weekend, then have a good weekend. If you are in the USA, go vote. I guess I always say this. It's so natural for people who live in Europe. Why not go vote? It's so easy. But I know that some of you have a hard way to go and a long waiting line. But please do it. It's something that it's important, I guess. And for now, I would say, yeah, this was fun. Let's do it again. My name is Julian. Till next time.